Yo, what's up guys? Amanda here, and today we're going to be doing our community question number 2. So last week I asked you guys what some of your favorite prequels were, and we're going to be going through some of those answers right now. So before we get into your answers, I figured we should start with some of my answers, and this should come as no surprise to some of you, but also might be very surprising to some of you. But because of when I saw them, and because they shaped my childhood, some of my favorite prequels are the Star Wars prequels. Now, I actually had a lot of people say Revenge of the Sith was one of their favorite prequels, just all over the place. I had a lot of people genuinely saying that, and Revenge of the Sith is great, but I think I prefer Phantom Menace. And now there's a lot of people clicking off the video, and a lot of people really angry, and a lot of people typing and typing. But I remember being a little kid, and my dad picking me up from school. My dad never really got a chance to take me places because he was always working and really busy, and he worked late. He worked later than my mom, so it was very rare for him to have time off. So I remember him picking me up from school, and he took me to see Phantom Menace when I was a kid. Phantom Menace being a movie that is aimed at kids, regardless of like how much fan service there was supposed to be for old Star Wars fans. Star Wars exists to captivate the minds of children, and that's probably why so many people hate what they're doing now, and why so many people fight and have issues. It's because it'll never match your childhood. Nothing's ever gonna replace that feeling you had when you were a kid watching a Star Wars movie for the first time. So on my end, Phantom Menace is the first Star Wars movie I ever saw. My parents weren't Star Wars fans, so I didn't see any of the original trilogy until after I started watching the newer ones, or the prequels, I should say. So that's all my knowledge. And it's the same that there's kids today that their first Star Wars movie would have been Force Awakens. And there's nothing wrong with that. It just means it means a lot to me. I know that there's so many issues with Phantom Menace. Like, trust me. I know that there's so many issues in the prequels in general, but I like them. I've got a soft spot for them. I usually only realize how bad they are if somebody else that has never seen them is watching them with me. So we got Schwig, who said, well, he's got two. He's got a toss-up, and unfortunately one of them is not a prequel. So I'm not trying to be one of those like film snobs, but a prequel by definition has to be the second installment of a series that happens on the timeline before the original. So there has to be something that's already out, and then it goes back further in time to explain how something got to be where it is. And preferably adds to the story and helps develop a character in some way. So he says his favorite are Batman Begins and Casino Royale, or the new Casino Royale. So Batman Begins, like I said, wouldn't count because that is the first installment in that trilogy. So it's an origin story, not a prequel, but still great. Batman Begins is fantastic. And the new Casino Royale, I actually have never seen Casino Royale I've never seen Casino Royale. But he says that both are great at setting up the world for the following stories. Rob, or Sharp Film, says Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom has got to be up there. Godfather 2 gets an honorable mention for me since it's kind of a prequel. I think it's pretty accepted that Godfather 2 counts as a prequel because it does have a large section of stuff that happens before the original Godfather. I think that's a really popular choice. I think a lot of people said Godfather in this thread in which I asked, so that's definitely up there. It's fantastic. And Temple of Doom is actually my least favorite Indiana Jones movie. I'm not saying it's bad, and obviously I can't shit. I kind of went at him a little bit. I know him in real life, so I kind of went at him a little bit, and then he obviously came back at me for the prequels. But Temple of Doom is my least favorite Indiana Jones movie for like 2 reasons.
Stop the zone! You cheat! Pay money! You owe me 10 cents!
Look at this.
They're funny, but they're not in the way that they're supposed to be. The girls just... Short Round gets better the more I see the movie. I'm like, okay, I can accept this as a thing right now. But that girl will never be okay. No, I'm not okay with her. But, you know, like, it's not a terrible movie, and to me, Temple of Doom's actually the worst Indiana Jones, in my opinion. We got Aaron, or Pax, saying The Thing, so the one from 2011, as kind of like a setup for the original Thing, even though it just is called The Thing. I had a couple people actually say that. Some of them say it's specifically because of Mary Elizabeth Winstead. I actually haven't seen the 2011 version of The Thing. Let me know if it's worth watching. Oddly enough, some of these movies I haven't seen. It's probably worth watching, but yeah, oddly enough, haven't seen it. But there were a couple of other people who said that. Bobby Blazingham says, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. The depiction of Hogwarts is mesmerizing. I will say I'm not a fan of that apocalypse guy, but Green Lantern flying through sure cheered me up. gonna be like that, isn't it? Okay, we're gonna have one of those answers. All right, okay, cool. Revenge of the Sith, no contest. Star Wars prequels were definitely the best of all time. No contest there. Seen this man? He knows. He knows. I love all the Star Wars prequels. Don't hate me. I just love Jar Jar. Plus, my favorite Jedi in the prequels is Plo Koon. That's fine. You know, like that's. I love the prequels. I love a lot of things about the prequels. I like a lot of the themes that are brought up in the prequels, and I'm a huge fan of just Jedi as a concept. So prequels have more Jedi, have more lightsabers, have more badass battles. One of the best, if not the best, lightsaber battle scenes of all time in Lego form. This was great. I love Phantom Menace, so I really do enjoy the prequels as a whole. A couple of other people playing Revenge of the Sith, of course. Then we got Paul Jeremiah with X-Men First Class. Definitely agree there. I'm a huge fan of the X-Men. Unfortunately, those movies don't necessarily hold up as well now as they did back in the day when you consider them on the grand scale of all these other superhero movies. But I do still really appreciate X-Men and First Class did a great job. Way better than I thought it was going to be. Godfather 2. Absolutely. Monsters University is one that I've been waiting to see pop up. Monsters University is definitely also one of mine. I know a lot of people didn't like Monsters University, but I really did. I didn't understand why people had so many issues with it. Like, they treat Monsters University like it's Cars 2. Like, it's not okay, man. And Prometheus, though I think a lot of people will disagree with me, I'm always mixed on Prometheus because he said that it's not a prequel. He said that it's got themes that tie in and that there's related material and it's clearly happening in some kind of the same universe, but he says that it's not a direct prequel to Aliens. So even though everybody's else like, you say that, but then this, and this implies this. So we're definitely going to count it, but I feel like he doesn't think it's a prequel. But yeah, I feel like Prometheus gets probably a lot more hate than it deserves. Not that it was a great movie, but I think people just really like the expanded lore. And it's definitely better than some of the other ones that have come out recently for the Alien series. Rob Barrick says The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I think a couple of other people said that as well. Obviously a very solid choice. Yeah, Curtis right underneath him says The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Masterful performances all around. Clay says the Hobbit movies I think were very well done. I personally do not like the Hobbit movies, but I'm not a huge Lord of the Rings fan. I've never made that too much of a secret. I don't want to get into it with that fan base. I already have to fight with enough Star Wars fans, and I don't even know who else fans, but I don't really want to, so I don't want to prod the Lord of the Rings fans, but it's just not my cup of tea. But the Hobbit is like this big. Is this big, and then they stretched it out to be movies that accumulate this much time. That's not good, and the story suffered for it. So I'm glad that there are some people who love The Hobbit and just are really happy that they got this more expanded world with some thrown in stuff and some things that they weren't necessarily expecting. So I'm glad for the fans that enjoyed it, but overall, even Peter Jackson knows that was a money grub. This might not be a popular opinion, but I really like Prometheus, though Covenant not at all. So we got another Prometheus, which is fine. Got a Revenge of the Sith again. I personally like Prometheus. I know some people don't feel the same. It was interesting to see where the alien from Alien originated from. So a lot of people saying Prometheus, which it's not that surprising. Like, I know that popularity-wise, people don't like it, but obviously you're gonna have those diehard fans that are just like, they just enjoy seeing the story. And Mr. Nathan Mister says it was both something of a prequel to the series and a new story, but Puffin Stuff, 1970, pure colorful 70s costume insanity. I still have the VHS in storage, surprisingly. Gotta look that up. What the hell is Puffin Stuff? HR Puffin Stuff. Okay. I've heard of HR Puffin Stuff. I've never seen that movie. I got a few more people saying X-Men First Class. And we got J20 Man saying Godfather 2 is tops, as other people were saying too. We got another vote for The Thing. Kong Skull Island, which I also haven't seen, but heard pretty decent things about. Red Dragon. Oh my god, how did I forget Red Dragon? Red Dragon's a fantastic prequel. I love Red Dragon. Star Trek 2009, which, yeah, that is actually a prequel. That's a weird prequel because it's the first film in its installment, but it's a prequel to the original series. So I'm gonna count it, and I also like it because I'm not really a Star Trek fan, but I really love the way that movie came together. I remember that year, I think that was the same year that like Watchmen and Wolverine Origins came out. At least Wolverine Origins. Origins is literally a steaming hot pile of trash garbage. That is like the worst prequel That is one of the worst prequels of all time. We need to do a worst prequels, that's in there. And then Star Trek came out that year, and I just saw it on a whim, and I loved it. I ended up seeing it twice in theaters. I had such a good time with it. But yeah, I remember that was a year of disappointment for me, I think. Yeah. Then you also said Prometheus, so another one for that, and Rogue One. Rogue One's a good prequel as well. I also, Solo. Solo's a prequel, and I loved Solo. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what the box office says. I'm good with Solo. Solo's good in my books. Y'all keep on rocking with that. I like that a lot. And then yeah, Rogue One, while I don't really like many of the characters in Rogue One, a lot of the way the story plays out is good, and just that like very last scene where it's really just tying right into New Hope, I really enjoy it. That's like the coolest Vader scene we've ever seen in a movie. So I'm gonna give it the nod for that. And then he says, a lot of bad ones too. So obviously there are a lot of terrible prequels, and some of the prequels that people are mentioning as their favorite are also what some people consider to be some of the worst prequels, like Prometheus, like the Star Wars movies. So that's kind of the beautiful thing about film. And there's a lot of movies I hate. There's a lot of movies that I rag on that I know someone out there loves, and it makes them happy. And at the end of the day, that's what matters. As long as it's not hurting anybody, if it makes you happy, keep on rocking. If I dislike something that you like, please don't think of it as like a personal attack against you, which is honestly how I even see that sometimes when someone's like, I hate that movie. I'm like, you're dead to me. But it's just, that's the beautiful thing about art and movies and just anything like that. It's very much what matters to you and what connects to you. And that is beautiful. It's beautiful. So that is going to do it for today's video. We are going to say that, what are we going to do for next week? Should we just do the reverse? Should we do sequels? What's your favorite sequel? Let's do that. Okay, so next week we'll do sequels. I know we're kind of staying on the similar train of thought here, but we'll do favorite sequels for next. It won't be next week because I'm going to be, maybe. I don't know. I don't know when this video is coming out. I'm going to California for Anaheim, so if it's not out, it could be next week. Either way, whenever this video comes out, the next question, keep an eye out on Twitter or answer down below. Favorite sequels. So that's going to do it for today's video. As always, thank you all so much for watching. If you have not heard, I do have a Patreon. Thank you to anybody who is currently patroning me. Again, you do not have to. I just had a couple people saying, hey, I'd love another way to support you. I don't like Twitch. Can you make a Patreon or something? So I did. And nobody wants to support me. That's fine. If so, there's links down below. So thank you all so much for watching. Have a fantastic day. And we'll catch you all later.